And we are live. Welcome back to the newest installment of the Mecca of Banter. You have found the place to be this week. So much footy going on in the world. So many countries are in on it. And you're with your boy Hoove, AB Hoove, Young Yid here hosting this week's installment. And before we go too much further, let's check in with the boys. Hen, what's going on over, man?
What's up, dude? It's a great week to be a Manchester United fan. I'll tell you what, I don't remember a week of such great footy in a long time. Like, so many great games to talk about, so many awesome goals to talk about. I'm thrilled to be here. As I said before, I'll say it again. It's a great week to be a Manchester United fan. Not everyone can be in a final this year. It's not for everyone. It's not even for very many Prem teams, you know? So, it's for us. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you. I'm the lone wolf this week. I got to keep you guys on your toes because this could get ugly. We're not gonna just let this United stuff just pass on by. But Dobes is also here from that side of it. What's going on, man? How we doing?
What's going on, man? Another week, another final.
God, I can't do this.
Yeah, man. I had for you. No, honestly. So, fellas, this weekend, I had never heard the term hate watching before in my entire life. Like, never heard of hate watching in my entire life. The hate watching was fantastic the last week, fellas. Like, yes, United made a final. We'll have to talk to that. But, like, seeing City, seeing Arsenal, and seeing Liverpool all get knocked out of Europe was absolutely fantastic. So happy to be here, fellas. You know, I do have to take a little flowers later on with United, but we'll try to keep it to a minimum.
Glad to have you as always. And before we get too far into it, like we've, kind of already chopped it up a little, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Did you know that one man every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer? In fact, testicular cancer is the most common form of cancer amongst men aged 15 to 35. With April being National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, our friends over at Manscaped have partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to help spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn how to check yourself for early signs of cancer. And as always, you can use the promo code MECCA20 for 20% off and free shipping at Manscaped. They're donating $50,000 to the Testicular Cancer Society. They're helping save lives. Goated. They're helping save lives and balls. And, with that manscaped.com/TCS link, you've got funny educational videos, a lot of good things on there. And don't forget to stop and shop Mecca 20% on the promo code manscaped.com. Like the famous American philosopher once said, take care of your chicken, your balls, and your mentals. And the jury's still out on who that American philosopher is, but we're going to find out one of these weeks.
Might have been Young Yid.
Might have been Young Yid. Might have been. Who knows? Lot to say over on that Twitter burner, but let's jump into it, boys. Before we pick sides across Europe, we had another, what are we calling it? The barbecue? The local I-40
barbecue, I think is what it's called.
Are we in on that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
here for
think
it.
I can do the
I don't know if I can.
I don't think I
don't know if I can do the barbecue.
I feel like it's one of those names that's just like, it's so bad that it's just gotta stick. It's gotta stick.
It's the only thing that I've been able to say. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have another word for it. A thrilling 3-3 draw in Kansas City at the Furniture Mart that they have there, actually in Kansas. Let me, check myself there. 3-3. It was an exciting game. Back and forth, carved out front, but found a way back. Some just beefy, absolute man challenges for most of the 90 minutes. What are your gentlemen's early takeaways? We've got bullet points, things we can hop up on, but what did you guys feel before, during, and after this
one? I was actually pretty pleased with the first half, to be honest with you. Like, we just looked like we were up for it. I think so many times this season we haven't looked that way. Physically, we were there. Ball movement, we were there. Defensively, we were there. We went into halftime, and I was like, okay, like, I actually don't know if I have too many complaints. Like, I was really stoked with how we played. The lineup was unchanged. It's the same front four that we wanted to see last week. Still doing their thing this week. We looked really good. I thought, the 2 goals that we had to body people off the ball, that was just fun.
Awesome.
It was just fun to see. I went to 9 Mile Garden. We were at a watch party at 9 Mile Garden. And the people around us were just like very clearly not soccer people, but they were like sports people. And so like, I'm like, they've been to a Blues game. They love the physicality.
Yep.
They love people just bodying people. So to see Klaus beat that active, Durkin, I think ran a marathon during the game. It was really great. I think the second half was just a little bit telling for me. Like, it was weird. I wasn't exactly frustrated at the end of the game. Like, I don't think that we should have tied that game 3-3. I think we got really fortunate on the 3rd goal for us. But I think it just shows, like, we just don't really have depth. Like, we bring a couple guys back healthy. So we bring Leuven back. We bring Nilsson back and Blom. And that's, like, our whole team that, like, we just watched. So all the guys that were playing in the starting 11 would have come off the bench in those 3 positions. I think we might be able to like hold our own for some of it, but it just shows 2 or 3 guys go out injured and we have no depth at all. And I think that that's a little bit of the concerning thing, that you don't have any guys past this group of 11. So let's say outside of the 14 that can really impact a game or influence a game. And maybe that's the case across the MLS, but I think that's where we lacked over the weekend. Like, we just didn't have the depth to really compete over 90 minutes. If the game was over in 60, I would have been really pleased, like I would have been really pleased with our efforts. We just faded towards the end of the game. I'm stoked to get 1 point, the 3-3 tie, stoked about it. But for me, that was just a story, just not having the depth to be able to compete in the long run. But proud of the effort for sure.
I agree with you. I think the frustration from this game comes from the fact that, like, I think all 3 goals we conceded were definitely preventable, like 100% preventable. Like, you look at the first one, Tim Parker doesn't play the ball out of the back. Both center mids are steps forward. One pass, they're in 2v1. I mean, that was a great little 1-2 by Sporting, but it left Hebert isolated on a 2v1, all because of one bad back pass out of the back. Then you look at the second, and it's like a Klaus like header that he should just put anywhere but where he puts it. And then the third goal, obviously just the back 4 got caught a little too high. But like you said, Hen, I mean, I'm proud of the effort. I think the frustration comes from, we actually did have a few decent spells of play in this one.
Yeah.
Like, there was some decent possession. Klaus's first goal was fantastic. I mean, obviously Cilio, who of you and I were texting about this, the Cilio goal where that's just Klaus in a nutshell. It's the work rate, it's the tackle, but not only the tackle, it's the pass. And then it's the willingness to make that overlapping run to create that space for Cilio, and then the banger. So I guess, I mean, the game probably deserved a 3-3, but I think the frustration comes with just we start to see a little consistency. We start to play a little better. The first half was really, really solid. Go up 2-1, and then we instantly just let Sporting back in the game. But I think because it is a rivalry, I'm happy with 3-3. I do think we should have won the game, but I am happy with
definitely 3-3. A couple things there. If we don't have that depth, you didn't mention Sam Adeniran. Like, the way that we pulled up and the 60 minutes, I think, were some of the best football we've played this year. But then you have to start making some of those substitutions. It felt to me like we were dropping back a little bit more. Klaus can't do that dive down, the field sprint every couple of minutes like Sam can. And that's we've talked about this for weeks. Like, that's what he does. If we're going to do that, play him where he can, slot in and be suited to that style of play. We don't even know where he is right now. Like, training by himself.
Yeah.
We speculate on all of it. None of us are in on anything, but I hope it wasn't over the transfer thing earlier in the year. Taylor Twellman was not shy of talking about, multiple times his contract situation and how available he is in 6 months. He was hammering that on the broadcast. So that's super concerning. And when we do have to inevitably drop players and start to play more defensively, which a lot of teams can do and should do, I don't think that suits any of the players we have on the field. We're missing an attacker now. Like, I don't think Thor's making those runs and playing that role. He doesn't like to be in the middle, I don't think. Like, still not totally sure. Yeah.
Who would really play there if Klaus got injured? Like, next week, I don't know if Klaus got injured in training this week. I don't know who plays it. That's a terrible problem.
I think he would play Thor. Genuinely, I think he would play Thor, and I think that we would just continue to see it not go well. But yeah, like I think not having the depth of Sam is really concerning. We got to do something in the window. You know, unrelated completely, but I was just on Transfer Market earlier this week, and there's like a hotometer essentially of transfers on Transfer Market, and there's like I think it was 68% hot. For the guy from Hanover 96 or whoever that dude is, the Cedric whatever, 68% like hotometer to St. Louis City, and he is an attacking player. He would play in that 10 role with Klaus, and if Klaus goes out, he would play in that 9 role by himself. But you know, we got to start figuring out what we want to do, because I think whenever we see AZ and Thor come on the field, the drop off is insane. It's not good. And I think I said it earlier, but we got fortunate on that third goal. Totland, what a great chip over the defender and slotted it super well. He took his chance beautifully, but I mean, their player played it into him. You know, like it wasn't like
I can't lie. First watch, I thought AZ played it, and I was like, "Oh my god, what a goal!" And then I saw it again, and I saw it was a mistake. I was like, "Yeah, we'll take it."
Yeah, it just, you know, it was a mistake, and that's cool. We capitalized. I'm stoked for Totland. He's deserved a goal so much, especially after like basically setting up the one last week. But yeah, that drop off is pretty noticeable for me, and has me concerned for sure.
I think if you're guys like, how in your opinion, it's because it's tough. Like, obviously, we're kind of going through this MLS thing. This is like our second go around here, but like, do we start to, at what point, and I don't mean this like we are, but at what point is it like, do we look to Alutes or do we look to the staff to say, hey, let's go get somebody? Because at some point, like is this like a telling thing within the MLS? Like, that's a genuine question, you know, like, because I think that we have like the bones of an 11, but we are missing depth. We're missing a few key pieces. And is it kind of now on Lutz and them to go get somebody? Like, can we ask for that, you know, or is it more so let's wait for Lewin to come back and then? I think because I almost think that Lewin and then somebody else.
We hit that point when we sold Nico for $3 million. Like, as soon as we saw some sort of positive transfer movement to where we're like, oh shit, Lutz is here to play. That becomes a reasonable question. That money came back. Right, we're still doing and operating this club in the best of our abilities as a second-year team, but that money's now back at some of the squad. From my point of view, I've only ever played FIFA, but that's what happens when you sell a player from your club is they'll give you 60%. And you're like, all right, keep using it. So, and that's what Lutz's 5-year plan is. So I think we're year 2 of 5 years. Bones are there. Yeah, I think this is when you start finding your skill players, and we've known him to be extremely selective, and it has to be the right personality and the right fits in the system that he wants to play in. But like, those guys are out there. There's got to be some that are seeing what's happening and are like, all right, I'll try this St. Louis thing. So yeah, I think we're tiptoeing in that realm, and I saw that the MLS deadline is tomorrow, maybe, but international's not. Yeah, so I don't see anything happening with Sam in the
I think it's like
24 hours that we're chatting now. But
yeah, it's like tomorrow midnight.
Hopefully more movement in the summer. Anything else on STL, KC? The fans were awesome. Seeing that much red in that stadium is so cool. Huge shout out to them. God, it was so good.
Yeah. I think just one last mention of Cilio's goal.
Stood there for a second, ran over to Big Klaus.
was a banger. And the celly was sick too. He was right by the crowd.
We were texting each other that his goal catalog is
That's
growing,
what dreams are made
and I think it's only going to get better. We're seeing different finishes. We're seeing him pop up in good spots. No, I'm excited for him and his development, and hopefully, we find 3 points again next week, or hopefully again in the future sometime. I would love more points. Looking at 9th sucks. I'm not gonna lie, but we said run scroll, and we said right before we even hopped on here, like, man, like 9 how many draws do we have from
one
points?
Scroll.
And we're like, that's 6 draws, 2 6-1, and like no one loves that record.
2 6-1,
and not to sound like someone who's associated with a club like Carnell or something, but those 6 points are going to come in handy, I guess, at some point. I hope it does. Anyway, moving on. We've got a couple Prem games. There were not as many this weekend with some FA Cup bouts going on as well. Nothing from our specific clubs, but to run through the scores. Arsenal did bounce back after their Champions League dropout to Wolves 2-0. I do have to read the official club statement from Lucas Winkelmann. He sent it to me because he's like, I know you were out last week, but you should probably read mine this week.
I'm excited for this.
Shouts to Winks. Gutted, frustrated, disappointed sums it up. We didn't show up in the second leg against Bayern. The biggest game of our season, back-to-back losses on top of it all. I don't think there's a ton to look into beyond that. Thought we had a good first half. Didn't test Neuer enough. We looked exhausted towards the end, just like the second half of Villa. Then 1 defensive lapse, not tracking Kimmich on the back post, ended our run. 3 defensive lapses led to 3 of their goals. Something to look at despite how well we've played defensively outside these last 2 legs and against Villa. Regardless of our inability to create enough in these 2 legs, I am proud of the guys' first overall UCL campaign in several years while also fighting for the top of the table in the Prem. Without the depth of a club like City, we know that can be a tough thing to do. We'll be back. Glad we bounced back against Wolves this weekend. Now we focus on the domestic trophy and not dropping another point the rest of the season. That is your club statement from Lucas Winkelmann, everybody. I didn't.
It's tough. It's tough there because Winks is such a good dude when it comes. He's actually a good Arsenal fan, so it's definitely tough. But I do have to say fuck off to other Arsenal fans that were out there.
We'll get into more of that later. They had a global hashtag rolling that was hashtag pray for Bayern. We're gonna come back to all that. Arsenal bounced back 2 overalls in the league. They now sit top with Man City yet to play. Liverpool back to winning ways 3-1 over Fulham. What we really wanted to hit on in this one was Nottingham Forest versus Everton. A 2-0 finish, I believe, that had multiple instances of potential penalty calls that weren't given, and with a little bit of conspiracy sprinkled in, the VAR operator was a Luton fan. So we're talking about someone who is a rival in a direct position on the table. And I saw all 3 of these challenges. 2 of them at the least could have for sure been given. Stonewall. It's not. This isn't new. Like we do this every week where we have a little ref break off and VAR break off. But I think it's worth noting too that it's not consistent anywhere in England. Like Chelsea had a real shout against Grealish, and I watched the highlights right before this. And if I were a Tottenham fan in that position, I'd be pretty pissed off. So, and it doesn't affect it affects the whole table. Like We're seeing Luton
Fuming.
fan refs as VAR operators in a relegation 6-pointer. They had, total control. And that one, there was a slide tackle to the back of the guy's legs in the box, bro. It was infuriating.
The frustration for me, like we were texting about this today. The frustration with this stuff comes from it's the game is like obviously it's over a season, but like if you get a little more specific, like that game comes down to like the potential of like millions and millions of dollars, a Premier League spot for the next season. Obviously, the VAR ref is a Luton fan. That stuff can't happen, but it's also like the bigger problem of no matter what we do, some of these referees, they may have some sort of a dog in the fight, and it just shows the emotion will always come into it. Like it's never going to be clear and cut and dry. Emotion will always come into it. This guy may have grown up a Luton fan. He sees that he has his position, and it'll just happen. But I think my main frustration from this comes from for a day and a half now, I've been listening to pundit after pundit on Twitter, and all these people come out and say that Nottingham Forest putting out that statement is classless, it's a joke, it's laughable, all this different stuff. Just this season, we have seen Liverpool want to replay a game because of a decision. Just yesterday, the decision in El Clasico, the ball that crossed the line, the president of Barcelona came out today that they're taking it and they want to replay the game. But poor old Nottingham Forest isn't allowed to complain about them potentially being able to stay up on 3 warranted penalty shouts. That's the frustration to me. Is obviously we know there's going to be bad calls, but it's these pundits are in a position to be able to actually like call out the PGMOL of like this needs to stop. Like we need consistency because we saw whether it be all season long, whether we saw the penalty in the United game be a handball, the Grealish one not. It happens everywhere, and I think all fans just want consistency. And these pundits in power with real, audiences continue to be like, "What the fuck are you doing for us?" It's like it's almost backwards to me, where we need more consistency, and it seems like everybody else wants to move away from it.
Offsides thing. We sure could have liked that this weekend. There's for sure were some calls this weekend that would have been scrutinized in a more professional manner. So, dude, I have clips bookmarked on Twitter of the exact same tackle that Romero put in on Sterling to go a red card in the first 20 minutes against Chelsea, first in the season. I'm still not over that one. He got all the ball, and he carried his foot through because he kicked it out. It happens all the time, and all of these other situations weren't given as a red. So you're right.
I was just looking at the table. The table at Luton's in 18th, and the final, or excuse me, the first relegation spot on 25 points, and Forest is right above them at 26.
Yeah.
Like that draw, the potential draw there is literally the difference
on the
between
refs.
staying
All we
up
ask is for
potentially going
consistency,
down.
and guess what, brother? We're never going to get it. That's just what this is, and it's going to be scrutinized under a microscope for the rest of our lives, and hopefully we can keep the game that we love intact.
Ever.
The FA Cup is where dreams come to live and die. We saw a mid-table Chelsea go up against City. They dropped 1-0 to a Bernardo Silva goal in the 80th, 85th or something. But I will say, outside of the penalty shout, which we have to give them credit for, I think that was a pen. As a pen. A chicken wing off of a wall in a free kick is a pen.
Dude,
a pen.
That's never been more of a pen.
Doesn't matter if you're in the middle of the clear ones or when you're on the outside, you stick a wing out. But arm came out. That's a pen.
Yeah.
Outside of that, they really didn't have anyone else to blame. Like, they were the more dangerous team for a majority of that game, and we're relying on Nico Jackson. Like, if Cole Palmer's not doing it, then
it's the thing with Chelsea is I didn't get to watch this game. I did watch the 15-minute version of the highlights. It's Chelsea just continuously. I think they've put themselves in some good spots to potentially go on and win games. Like they definitely, there's a world where Chelsea's in the final and probably should be, I think, because they missed chance after chance, didn't get a handball.
A Chelsea
just one of
win
those things with City. If you don't get those bounces that go your way, they're going to find a way.
I didn't get to watch all of it, but Hen was texting in the first half. He's like, City look terrible. I was like, this is all culminating for a final for Poach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we heard Pep give us we're playing too many games in a row.
He could have rotated everybody,
off, which may be warranted, but it's like, I mean, come on, dude. Like, your bench would
City
be a starting 11 for almost all of us.
And I mean, I think this is the conversation of the weekend: is United Coventry 3-3. United get through on pens after an unbelievably questionable VAR call, but I wasn't in the semifinal, so I'll let you take it away. I'll chime in when I feel needed.
I think before I start to just dismantle a ton of this, regardless of the performance, I'm thrilled to be in a final. Like, for real, with the injuries, 40 different 11s in 45 games, 20 something different back four. Like, just being in a final somehow, like, is the only thing that I kind of have hope for the rest of the season. Like, for real, like, we're not going to be in the top 4 place. We may not even be in Europa League. Like, the FA Cup final isn't until the end of May, so like I kind of have a little bit of something to look forward to for the next month. So pumped to be in the final. 3 finals in 2 years for Ten Hag. When it comes to the game, truthfully, like the first 51, 52 minutes was completely stress-free. It was a solid performance, rock solid at the back. Casemiro stepped in and actually was fantastic.
I stopped watching
as a center back for that first
I was an
quarter of the game.
Better of this game, and I stopped
we just dove into United. I think, brother. But I think it's kind of one of those things we've seen with this United team, and I know that there's a ton of people sort of blaming Ten Hag for this, but when you look at 3-0 and the way that we're playing, that's exactly how he wanted to play. We kept a high line. We kept a high line for the majority of the game. We saw Coventry, which deserves a ton of credit in this game, play it back 5 in the first half, was not working. We dominated possession. They switch it back 4. They kind of had to, but at the same time, like the game instantly changed. So I have to give a ton of credit to Coventry. I think there's also a ton of people online that are fucking screaming and yelling at Ten Hag for subbing out 2 19-year-olds in a game in which we were up 3-0, and bringing on Christian Eriksen and Antony, who have combined played over 800 professional games together, instead of leaving on a 19-year-old who need rest. So there's a ton of people sort of blaming Ten Hag for that, but at the same time, those are experienced players. Christian Eriksen has played in the Champions League for years. He's played in World Cups. Antony played at Ajax. He's won titles. And you bring these guys on, and people are starting to blame the subs for it. It's like, if there's ever a time to give the 2 kids you've had to rely on the entire season rest, it's probably up 3-0 against a championship side. Like, you probably think that that's what happened. But what we see, like I've said all year about this Manchester United team, is the mentality is laughable. It's absolutely laughable. You would think that going up 3-0, that players like Casemiro, who's won 4 Champions Leagues, players like Bruno Fernandes, who's the captain, who's wearing the captain's armband, players like Marcus Rashford, who's not a kid anymore, who's 26 years old, who's been at Manchester United forever. You would think that these players would know how to close out a game, but the moment that we go up 3-0, you see the complete opposite. What I mean by that is, you see Marcus Rashford go on his adventure runs, as I'll call him. You see him all of a sudden, we're winning, and you see him take the ball and try to beat 5 guys on. Then you see Antony get subbed in the game. Directly leading to the second goal, yes, it's a deflection, but you see Antony dribbling. You see Dalot make a great overlapping run to the outside, wide open. Antony chooses to go inside and try to shoot where there's 4 guys. Ball directly deflects out, and all of a sudden, Coventry's in on a counterattack because it's strictly lack of experience. It's lack of mentality to understand you're winning a game 3-0. You don't need to take these chances. Put your fucking foot on the ball, keep the ball, and end the game like a Manchester United team should. But consistently what we see is the mentality of these players to where you have to call Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, all these different players. When you see Onana in the, 65th minute, sitting back there, walking to get a goal kick, like that's mentality. That is direct mentality. What you should do, grab the ball, let's go fucking get a fourth. We're not scared to have the ball at our feet. But the moment what you see is we go up 3-0, and Casemiro, Maguire, who were playing a high line, pinning Coventry in deep, all of a sudden want to play in front of them. They want everything to happen in front of them. And then what happens is you have a Christian Eriksen, a Scott McTominay, and a Bruno Fernandes in a midfield who can't keep possession, was not great in transition. And then it takes two passes, and all of a sudden Coventry are on the counterattack. And they completely deserve. Coventry, they did it against Wolves. 97th minute Haji Wright winner to get here. Like, Coventry deserve all the credit in the world for doing this. But there's no excuse. And people can blame Ten Hag if they want. People can sit there and try to blame this on subbing in Eriksen and this different thing. At some point, these players have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, this is on us. It shouldn't be on a manager to sit there in a 3-0 game whose game plan got you to 3-0 to say, keep doing the game plan. To say, not be a showboater. Marcus Rashford is playing with something to prove. He's playing because people have been doubting him. And what he's doing is he goes on these fucking adventure runs, loses the ball, and it leads to counterattacks. Versus being a mature player and saying, hey, I'm going to grab the ball, I'm going to swing it back around, we're up 3-0, I'll get back in position and we'll just redo it again until I'm isolated again. And that's just the difference between a really, really, really good team and Manchester United. It's been us all season. Like, it's been us the entire season. I said last week even I was nervous for Coventry. Up 3-0, even I didn't think this could happen. Like, up 3-0, I stopped watching. I was like, all right, fuck yeah, stress-free United game. But of course not. It's the mentality of these players. And, you know, there'll be those that want to blame the manager. There'll be those that want to blame this. They want to blame the subs, that want to blame that. At the end of the day, these players got to look themselves in the mirror. Like, United has more wins over the last 2 seasons than Liverpool does. The quadruple. At the end of the day, all these players have to look themselves in the mirror. If Marcus Rashford can't decide that he wants to be the guy that we all thought he was going to be, he's got to go. Same with Casemiro, same with all these players. I think what I learned more yesterday was the fact that we need more than an overhaul clear out than I've ever thought. Because there's about 4 or 5 players that played yesterday that I'd say I would build a team around. And that's it. And 2 of them are 19, one of them's 20. Like, that's laughable.
I think that was like perfectly articulated. I think, yeah, time away from this game has brought a lot of perspective, because I think, like, in the moment, we are up 3-0. We then concede 3 to be 3-3. I was so mad. I was so frustrated. There was no way that I thought that Ten Hag was going to survive this. And then, just like you said, Dobes, like, the further I get away from it, the more I'm like, it's just on the players, period. I don't know how you're in a game like that and you let that game slip away. And we've said that like 8 times this season. And this is not like a new thing that we've said. Yes, it's the first time against a championship side that we've said that, but it's not the first time that we've said that as Manchester United. So you ended it perfectly with, like, yeah, there's like 4 guys that I would build around. The rest of them, I'm so past it. I'm so over it. And I think I'm like an eternal optimist. I like to see the positives. I like to see like the good in people. To me, the team just reeks of guys that just don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to do it. They don't believe in it. They don't believe in Ten Hag. They don't believe in the project, whatever it is. And on Twitter, on the internet, people call Manchester United like Player FC, because the players have gotten the last 5 managers sacked. And I think that that's what they're trying to do again with Ten Hag. And I think it's just so clearly evident. I think Marcus Rashford's the perfect example of it, where, yeah, you talk about these like adventure runs that he goes on, but it's just like, he just makes the wrong decisions intentionally. Like,
Well,
he just
9 times out of 10 too. Like, it hasn't even been close to making the right decision lately.
Like, I watch any other winger, any of them, and they might go up against like a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-1 or whatever it is, and they might try to dribble and they mess up. The next one, they change it. He just continues doing the same thing, and the efforts are just so bad. The amount of passes that he just gives away to no one are so bad. It like literally pains me to watch. Obviously, with me being such a big fan of his, it's hard for me to watch anymore. But also at the same time, man, Ten Hag's been keeping him on for 90 minutes. He would have played the entire game yesterday if he didn't get injured. And maybe he's pulling a Saka and just limping off just cuz. But like, he keeps getting picked. Like, I would love to see on Wednesday. I would love to see him start, Antony and Ahmad. On the
you can't start Antony. He's on my shit list too after the fucking celebration, man. That's just fucking insane.
Dude, like, okay, Garnacho and Diallo, like whatever it is, like
Diallo 100%. I think that should be it. Dude, Ahmad came on in shitty circumstances, but he was good. Like Ahmad was good.
He was. But yeah, the embarrassment of bringing on 2 international players that can't see out a 3-0 victory, that's sad. I mean, at one point, every single player on that United team, I mean, even at the beginning of the game was true, but when they made subs, every single player that was on the pitch was an international. Every single player represented their country at international level. Most of them start. And I guess except for Wan-Bissaka, he still can't.
I'm trying to find
England,
any sort of way to pin this
other
on
than that, like every single one starts.
You guys are pretty steady in.
It's embarrassing, man.
The
it's
Tottenham
really
fan in me says, "Why in the hell would you sack a guy who's in third final in 2 years?" I get that, but you're also Manchester United, right? Biggest club in the world. What you're saying about the players is true, because I did see Jose come out this week and had an interview with somebody, and he said 5 or 6 guys that he wanted out when he was the manager of United are still there. So, like, you're right. It's a cancer. It's an inside-out issue. Like, it's just been, and you're right. You come back to this, Sir James coming in and doing a fucking makeover and gutting the whole thing and building penthouses. But like, is there a future in the next couple years where you see Ten Hag playing Ajax ball at Man United, like at Old Trafford? Is that a realistic expectation to have? Because you don't want him gone, but it's not been great. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you right now, this is the not want to have to play the injury card, but like, if we didn't see it last season, like, we finished in the top 4, we made 2 finals, we got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Like, we saw it. And so, like, it wasn't consistent enough, but that was just with a few of the different pieces that we're missing right now. Like, having and this isn't just yesterday, but like, I'll keep saying it, like, having 2 ball-playing center backs changes the entire way that we play. And I mean, like, that's with Casemiro, that's with Menu, that's with anybody in front of them. Like, we have Harry Maguire, who, credit to him the other day, has never played as a possession-based center back in his 30 years of life. Once. He grew up playing at Hull and then playing at Leicester, but he's never been asked to do that. And to be fair, he's had a great season. But there's a bunch of those guys around this team. It's Scott McTominay, 10 goals. But when it comes to doing everything else in the midfield, he can't do it. And so that, to me, is where, if you have a consistent Licha, you have a consistent Mount, I do think it's better. But even then, I don't think that we're near enough of, based off of what I've seen this season, of a complete roster to see IX football. Mm-hmm. And I do think that there's a world where Pep Guardiola has ruined football, because there's this thought now that if you don't play that style of football, you're not playing well. And historically, Manchester United has never played IX football. We've always played decent in possession, hit on the counterattack, entertaining, exciting football. And I do think there's a world where we're a clear out this summer from being that way. Yeah. And I think that maybe have to be something that United fans have to accept with Ten Hag, that is, over the next couple of years, I don't think we're going to see IX football. until we have a full group of players that can play that. But I do think with a fully healthy squad, if we don't see more unity, a different mentality, and at least a solid way of playing at some form, then there's an issue. Like last year when we beat Barcelona, that was the best we've looked. And we were in great possession. We're going to press you high up the field. We're going to win the ball back. And then Bruno Fernandes is going to slip Marcus Rashford in. And we're one of the most dangerous teams in the world at that. The rest of it, I don't think we can expect because we don't have the pieces to do it, even fully healthy.
Yeah, and I would almost go so far as to say is if we do get that summer clear out this summer, it can't be next summer. It has to be this summer. Ten Hag won't make it another summer if we don't get the clear out. We did get to see it last year. We did get to see some of the pieces put together. It just has to be dependent on some of the players leaving. Like Rashford was great last year. He was awesome.
33 goals, man. The best he's been.
But he also had tools around him. You know what I'm saying? Like he also had guys who were able to do stuff. The ball playing center backs, it was huge. This year we don't. We do have the injuries. You won't play the card, but I will. We don't have the injury. Like we have the injury list. No one rivals in the Prem, and we've had so many, which also has to be on the staff at some point. There's something. I've played enough Football Manager in my life to know that there's something going wrong with the training sessions, the medical staff. Bro, it's so many. And you're just seeing a complete 180. But I do think that there's also a world where he makes it through this summer with a clear out. He does well next year. He gets top 4. He's, challenging in a lot of these tournaments, and he still isn't the right guy for the next 5 to 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like I do think that with a proper clear out, you'll see more of an identity next year, and it still may not be the guy that takes us to the heights of winning the Prem. Like I'm okay and I'm comfortable with that because I do think he's the right guy for now. I've said it a million times. I said it to Dobes earlier this week where if you sack him, I don't care who is even rumored. Like Zidane was the big rumor over the last week, and that's sick to me. I think the aura would be insane. It would be so awesome. I told Dobes this week, I don't want Zidane now because it doesn't matter who comes in if the back of house or the staff behind the players and the current group of players is still there. No one will be successful. So I'd rather ride with Ten Hag, get the summer clear out, and then see what he can do next year before we bring in anyone else. And I think that that's part of just where we are as a club, and that's where I am as a fan. Where I
just want to break the fucking cycle. I want to break the fucking cycle. I don't want fucking Ole got fired too soon. Jose got fired too soon. Just break the fucking cycle. The media is clamoring for this to happen historically under the previous Glazers, who, by the way, fucking those small glasses are fucking hilarious. The Glazers have just been like, all right, the fans want him out. We're going to get him out. And I hope that Sir Jim's different. And truthfully, it's because I don't think there's anybody else out there.
I give him no Christmas.
There's not a single soul.
frankly.
Tuchel, fuck right off.
I don't think he gets through the year.
Fuck right off. Anybody but Zidane, I'm out. Anybody but Zidane, I'm out.
So to be honest with you, I've been saying that for months now. That would be ideal. Again, get through this summer, let the back of house staff do what they do, clear some guys out, make some deals, do all of that. And then if we're still in the same position,
and if Sir Jim's going to come in and perform your guys' miracles,
I think I'm on the same boat.
You may be formidable in 5 to 6 years. So
Christmas, yep.
Coventry still got robbed. I would like for that to be known. In my opinion, I think Haji Wright was onside, and it ruined what could have been the most electric finish to an FA Cup semifinal ever. But it's all good. It is what it is. We will be wrapping up this evening with a little Champions League recap. We're going to go further back in the week.
For real.
And I mean, what if we just started with Bayern, right? What if we just started with Bayern and Kimmich
right we talk about
and the absolute dog, the farmers, right? Right? Yeah. Bayern win
Let's
1-0
just do it,
over
man. Let's just rip
Arsenal
it.
at home at the Allianz. And I mean, did we
The farmers
not
are
call
farming
it?
this week.
Like, did we
Yeah.
not kind of see this coming? No, I don't know. I don't know if we did call it. There were definitely some Bayern shots in here. There's some Arsenal shots.
100% we did.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it, but this is very much not meant as a shot at Arteta, but it is going to be one.
Yes.
Tuchel's just
Yes.
a better manager in those games than he is right now, and that's something that will come maybe with experience. But like I've said this for consistently, Tuchel in knockout games, man, he figures it out. They did it in the first leg, and they were nails in the second leg. Arsenal never got a rhythm in either leg. They created very few dead-on chances in either leg. And this isn't one of those where like Bayern squeaked it out. Bayern deserved to go through here, like 100%.
Pray for Bayern.
And so, like, to me, this
Eric
isn't like
Dyer.
an Arsenal bottle because
Eric
they made
Dyer
it
was the
this far.
man
At
of
the
the
same
match.
time, like,
You're gonna
you
just
have to
eat
go back
that?
to who while
Under
Henry's gone.
Tuchel,
The,
Bayern
like, pray
Munich,
for
you let
Bayern
Eric
hashtags
Dyer
that were
back
going
to
on.
make your lives a living hell? No way, brother. That was the best thing I've ever seen. The hate watching was so real, and it's not. Truthfully, I've even bumped one notch down on old John Paul. He's sometimes one of the very stereotypical obnoxious Arsenal fans. He even came into the Mecca group chat and said, "Damn, some of these guys online need to relax." Like, so it's this fan base over there, much more so than Winks and our guys. They're just entitled. Like they were awesome 24 years ago. Like, let's not, don't get me wrong. Some of those guys have been there and seen it and obviously are happy to be back. But
just
like
the worst.
the young fan base, it's just like, we're Arsenal, we're the best in the world. And then as soon as they lose, it's like the world is against them. Like we made it to a quarterfinal and you guys are like, what have you done recently? Like it's insane the just like code switch that they go through. And that's what makes it enjoyable to me. And it's not just because they're my direct rival. Partially so, for sure. And Stan Kroenke owned. Bite it, Stan. It was just the cockiness, I think. And again, not Winks. And like he said in his club statement, I think you can be proud of how far you got without shade and no banter. You can be proud of this. Yeah, them posting that on their official or Twitter, caught a lot of hate. But
that's
if we're switching shoes, that's right, and I'm in those shoes,
yeah.
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I wouldn't be if you were talking to me about a Spurs Bayern Champions League bout. I would have been shitting my pants. I would have told you guys that. And I mean, like, we have absolutely no right to go through this round based on where we're at and how we play. Like, but they were just like, "Oh, dude, pray for Bayern." Mm-hmm.
The other side of it is the fact that their group was PSV, Lens, and Sevilla, and then they drew Porto.
Yes.
I think that's where the hate comes from a little bit because I truthfully think, and obviously United is United. Like I think
play
Spurs
the teams in front of you.
Group. Like I truthfully think Spurs that. Like that's the only flip side of it. Is like they did have an easy draw, but I guess you earned that. Man, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean that is true, but it's not like they were just like beating the shit out of these Champions League teams. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
hey,
and you might have said this earlier, but like the Champions League to be proud of. It's like you look at all those score lines and you're like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It is insane. I wish. I just didn't have enough time in my day today. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to go back on our podcast and find the clip of Lucas saying, "I'm not worried about Bayern," and put it as like a soundboard in our podcast. So whenever we got to this like session,
we should have that for next week. We should
click it and just say, "I'm not worried about Bayern. I'm not worried about Bayern. I'm not worried about Bayern." Yeah, just like over and over. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal sucked, man. They were so bad. Like, I mean, they just looked like they were consistently not up for the game, and it is hard. to know what that team needs. Bias aside for a second, like remove
They
it.
need a match winner. They need
Need a match winner. They need the guy like I don't, and maybe your shout last week is going to be the closest thing to it, Dobes, but they need almost like a Ibrahimovic kind of figure that can come in and say, I'm the guy. Everyone else, you Sakas, you Martinellis, you Odegaards, like, keep doing your thing, but when there needs to be attention, when there needs to be blame, when there needs to be whatever, put it on me. Like, I feel like that's the kind of character we need. And if you feel like Isak is the closest thing we've seen to Zlatan in a while, Dobes, like maybe Isak's the perfect, figure for that team for next year. But they do need a guy who can come in and just do it in the big games and kind of not be swayed by whoever they're playing or whatever's going on.
Yeah, somebody not swayed by the moment. I think that's it. And like, I don't mean this to be like, I'm going to start this by saying I rate Saka. I think he's a fantastic. Like when he's at his best, he's almost as good as it gets. But it's moments like this where you expect him. It's like you see Cole Palmer, you see Phil Foden, like you see those guys not be scared of the moment. And Palmer hasn't been there. Obviously, Foden's been his team, but like that's what we need to see from Saka to be like, all right, dude, you're fucking world class. You've earned this. You stepped up in a Champions League quarterfinal. And you scored a massive goal that sent your boyhood club forward. And that doesn't have to be somebody from them, but that's what they mean, that somebody's been in the Champions League that can say, all right, I'm going to step up and I'm going to score a goal in this moment. Because right now they don't have anybody. Odegaard is fantastic. He doesn't play
the
high enough up the field, especially playing against a low block of
news,
Bayern.
bro. Like,
have that moment. So
whatever memes are popping up live on your feed are topical events that people are talking about right now. There's a lot of Saka memes right now, just in general. The ones about him limping off after stinkers, the one of the dog in one car looking directly at the other dog in one, and he's staring straight ahead, and he's like, Saka when the world class shouts, "Time to need to get proven." Like, it's just coming up for a reason, and I think the Isak transfer would make me physically ill because I agree. I think that would be absolutely perfect for what they're trying to do. They looked good for a little bit, and then they were completely toothless. But I will say, Bayern choked the absolute life out of that game, and they took their chances. And they were dominant. They were in control after the 30 minutes. But for sure. But. Good news for the.
I'll be very
fans.
curious what happens in their next game. You will see it again next year.
We will get more shouts of world class from Saka, against a random French team. Who knows? There's always next year, and I promise. Against the law. I was a lot more confident about that match like a week and a half ago. So
I know we're not previewing it, but like Arsenal, Chelsea, and Spurs next, man.
Sliding through the rest of the Champions League.
Yeah, we'll see.
I picked Madrid to watch. I did not do the multicast, so I didn't see a ton of the others. But Madrid over Man City on pens. All I really got was Bernardo Silva's complete disappointment in a Panenka. Like, that was bad, man. And I love that guy.
What? It's terrible, bro. Same.
Did you see the? What's the goalie's name? The backup goalie.
Lunin. Kepa.
Did you see Kepa telling Lunin about how because Bernardo Silva chipped it down the middle against him in the Champions League, and then he saved it. This was one of those games. I did have the multicast going. This is one of those games I wish would never end. I wish both of these teams could play for infinite amount of years because they were just, even though there wasn't a lot of goals, they were throwing haymaker after haymaker. And this is what I mean about like Pep Guardiola's ruined football because you got fucking Rodri coming out after the game being like, only one team played football today. It's like Real Madrid, what they did is a skill in and of itself. It's we're going to have all of these star players be willing to sit in and defend, and then we're going to hit you on the fucking counter. We're going to make it tough on you, and then we're going to win a game. That's exactly what Madrid does. Madrid is built for the Champions League, and if you give them an inch, they're going to take it. And they took it to pens, and maybe they snuck out with the draw, or a draw, and then depends on somebody's eyes. But like, That's part of the Champions League.
I
That's
think
what
this could
makes
have been the
one game
final for
knockouts
sure.
insane, is the fact that can happen.
I loved this game. I loved every bit of the extra time. I think they're the two best teams in the world comfortably. I think that these two are just and if it was the final and it ended that way, like how awesome is that, you know? And something that I can't get over in this game is just the dedication that both teams have to go 120 minutes at full steam ahead, guys on both sides of the ball, full sprint down, full sprint back. I mean, just those two teams are fully bought into their coaches. They just are fully bought into the identity. But kind of curious about Man City going into overtime and taking off De Bruyne, taking off Haaland, taking off some of these guys who potentially could be the decision makers of the games. And they just kind of faded throughout the game. And maybe that comes down to fitness for De Bruyne. He is getting up there in age.
I don't care. What? I don't care. No,
what
fitness is fucking bullshit excuse. Fitness is fucking bullshit. I don't care. I don't care if he's 35% fit going into that extra time. If that is me, you're dragging me off of that field. Like you're dragging me off that field. Not being like, hey Pet, my legs hurt, take me off.
Ouchie.
Ouch. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to hit a pen later. Take me off. Like, fuck off, dude. Like that. Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best midfielders of all time, no doubt. There's no doubt about it that he's always soft in these moments like this. Like, yes, he scored big goals. Yes, he scored the goal in his game. Dude, stay on the field. Like, stay on the field. You were keeping 75% possession in extra time anyway. Like, step on the field and have the nuts to hit a pen, dude. Like, have the nuts to hit a pen.
We talked about it during the game, but Carvajal had just like what would be a nightmare for a wingback. You know, you play against Jack Grealish for 70 minutes or whatever it is, and then you have Jeremy Doku coming in the following 50 minutes. He did great. Carvajal did amazing, but I mean, just like as a task, that would suck. That'd be horrible. And he did it really well. Man, this Madrid team is so fun. Obviously, we got to watch them twice this week with the Champions League and the Clasico.
They're gonna win.
They just keep getting it done, and it's scary just how young they really are. I know that there's Kroos and there's Modric and there's Nacho that are still kind of in that like older realm of Madrid, but man, they're going to be so good for so many years. And
this
game was awesome. I think Madrid deserved to go through,
and I was like, hey,
based on how they played the game
away.
But definitely
pretty good about that.
I'll double down on that. It was definitely a skill in and of itself for them.
And he texted back. He goes, "I am terrified." He was like, Vinicius and Rodrigo are so unbelievably dangerous on the counter. He's like, I do not feel good at all about this. And he knows ball, no way around it. And like they were just absolutely everywhere. Rodrigo called Ancelotti his like second dad this week. Like these guys love him. They love him. Two managers.
Yep. Yeah.
I think I lied. There's two managers I would let Ten Hag.
Yeah. We have the receipts in the text. You did say two managers. You're good.
Did you guys see what Jude said about him after the game?
Yeah.
That was so cool. He was like, I caught Carlo yawning, so I asked him why he was yawning. He's like, you need to go out on the pitch and entertain me.
Like I do think it's interesting though, like, you know, I memes, you brought up memes earlier, and there's like always the memes of
that was
Pep,
weird.
and he's just like going with tactics and he's going crazy and all this stuff, and then Ancelotti just like raises an eyebrow and that's the tactic. And like it is just interesting, like every single player that's played for Ancelotti, maybe barring Everton, because that was a weird stint in his managerial career. It was weird. But they all just talk about the confidence that he instills in them to just go play. Like Jude talked about it in the same post game where he was just like, that's just what Ancelotti does. He like makes us all feel like 100% about ourselves, that we have like all of the belief in the world to just go out and perform. And he doesn't really worry too much about, you have to do this and be here and do this and all this stuff. It's just confidence. And I just think that that's such an interesting approach and certainly my coaches growing up were never that way. I just can only imagine what that would be like for players of their caliber.
Did you see his reaction after Jude scored the winner in El Clasico?
Rounding it out,
there's a video panning to the sideline and Jude's goal goes in, and he literally just
down a
turns around
10-man Barca.
Doesn't do anything, just like
questionable
walks and
red
puts his hand in his
card.
pocket, man.
Yeah.
Deserved red card. Can't do that. He doesn't need that. Yeah.
Brutal. Yeah, I think it's questionable for the game and for the magnitude, but also like Araujo puts himself in a terrible position.
It wasn't needed.
I think that more than anything was the shocker, and it's a shame too because I genuinely we'll never know, but I genuinely feel like if they stayed at 11 men, Barcelona would have won. They were all over them prior to that red card. They were the better team for sure, and then
I'm doubling back to one of the TikTok comments that I bookmarked on one of our TikToks
throughout the game. It wasn't like PSG
round, we all did say PSG was going in over Barca.
Like, Barcelona
and
definitely
we got
had
called
some
out for our ball knowledge.
They just
have
missed.
It be known, lads. I'll have it be known. We don't forget out here. We keep the receipts in the Mecca. I did not call a Dortmund comeback over Atletico. That, frankly, that shocked me. I didn't call it. I know for a fact I didn't. Cruising. Yeah.
Ball.
No. It was a great week for farmers. They're taking the coefficient. They're running away with it right now with Leverkusen and Dortmund and Bayern.
Like I think we were like, there's no way Simeone blows that.
And then
like, not a shot. But I mean, hey, that's sick.
Yeah,
good week for farmers,
bro. I didn't know he had that in his locker. And it was one of those games too that like we always talk about how Julian Brandt is just unbelievably inconsistent. But when he's on, bro, we're talking about a dog.
Yeah.
He's up there. He just doesn't do it often enough. Dortmund's always impressive. I like secretly really like them. Just kind of as like the underdog small time. I like Dortmund a lot.
He's up there.
No. It's true.
Oh no, I very
of course.
Very much like.
Do we think that they'll be able to do it against PSG though? Like, do you feel like they'll be able to like scrape it out?
I think they have enough chance of anybody. Just because I think that Dortmund aren't scared to play like how Dortmund need to play a little bit. Like, I don't know, the Dortmund Stadium in the Champions League just like I don't know, it goes together. I know they've made a couple finals. They haven't necessarily won anything, but like that stadium with the Champions League anthem before the game is electric.
Would be crazy to see a Bayern Dortmund final
in London and Wembley.
Yeah, it would be crazy. That'd be nuts. Yeah. I was just gonna say I think it's gonna be a Dortmund Madrid final. That's what I think the final is gonna be.
What time? We have, so we can. I guess our opinions can change because these aren't for like what?
It's like a month or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, Madrid's going through, and then because I don't want to see PSG win, I'm going to go Dortmund as well. I don't want to see Mbappe win.
First off, we breeze like right over the whole like Mbappe is Mbappe comment. Mbappe frustrates me to the end of the world. Like he literally did nothing the entire game. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He was a non-factor completely. Gets his penalty goal and celebrates like he's the best player in the world, and then scores at the very end of the game, and that's what all the headlines are about. But it's like he was like probably fifth or sixth best player on the field for PSG. Like, and there are better Barcelona players than him, but of course, Mbappe gets all the headlines. He gets all of the notoriety. He gets all of that stuff, and I'm like, he's just so fucking
he goes for 70 minutes, and then he'll bag 2 and an assist. Like. It's just I agree that sometimes that attitude can be obnoxious, and we know he has that attitude. So like it's not like this is a new thing.
It's different.
He's
that's different.
He's a cocky dude. He has every right to be, but like I think
where it matters most,
he was always going to take that pen. He was always going to put it away. There's never even a question about that. And then he finds himself in the right place at the right time again. So I agree. He wasn't the best player. He wasn't the top 5 for PSG, but like he can do that, and he does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dude, what?
You know what's scary is what's really scary.
They played
is
one more time
Vinny Jr.
in El
Mbappe,
Clasico against Barcelona at
Rodrigo,
home.
front three,
Real Madrid, that is. We were just talking PSG.
Scary.
And they won 3-2 with a late winner by the man, Timothy himself, Jude Bellingham. And are we shocked? Is this a surprise to anybody? Nah. Yeah.
Game could have gone any way, man. It could have. I think, truthfully, I think that the referee was letting a lot go, which I really appreciate in games like that where they can just be physical. They can put the body on. The one call that was like a little bit suspect was like towards the end of the game. Who was it? Rudiger. Put his ass out and bodied that guy off the ball.
What about the goal call?
With
the
his
goal
butt,
over
and
the
there was
line.
just no call on it. I was like, whoa. I think that was a little bit suspect because without that, he potentially would have been in on goal. I think that is where Barcelona fans can definitely argue. Oh, yeah, fuck. I forgot about that. The goal line technology. How does La Liga not have that? That's crazy.
If you were on, but Laporta, literally today, said that they're reporting it to FIFA.
We're not letting MLS off the hook on that
How
either.
does La Liga not have goal line technology, though? Like, at this stage of the game, I mean, that stadium that they played in was, what, $2 billion? Like, the new Bernabeu? Like, you gotta have goal line technology in a game like that.
Yeah.
We need it.
Things with this game, Barca scored too early. When you score in the 6th minute, Madrid is too good. They're always going to find a way. And then I've watched Barca a decent amount this year, and the drop off of João Cancelo needs to be studied in the history books, man, because he was horrible. He was horrible in the Champions League as well. I don't think I've seen him look good in forever, and he was. I thought City was going to take a massive drop off when he left. Yeah. And one, of course, City didn't. But two, he just hasn't stayed at that level, even remotely. No. He got cooked the entire game.
Yeah, it was bad. The defensively, I mean, on the ball, sometimes he can still be pretty decent. He's still
got that quality, of course.
Defensively, he's just irrelevant out there. But I mean, what a man, what an occasion, Jude Bellingham. It just feels inevitable at this point, but that's like his first goal in 2 months in the league. Like, you have to remember, like, he got injured, and then there was an international break. He hasn't scored in a while, but he's just the man. It is
3 guys.
Yeah, you just think that has to be.
The winner is who gets in the Champions League the farthest
in the conversation.
I
think they get Champions League.
I think depending on what happens in the Champions League and the Euros, I mean, obviously, that's not like a
I think
crazy
those are the best 3 players. I don't feel that Mbappe's been that guy to really be in that conversation, but if you're telling me that he doesn't go on a ridiculous run and win the Champions League, that he's not going to win it?
Yeah, that's true. Against each other.
Whoever of those 3.
Yep.
If we didn't have Jude doing what Jude is doing with Real Madrid in the exact same position that Kane is, I think it's already nailed on. But now I think it has to be the
Kane one is so
how you round it out.
Too. If they make the final or if they win,
it's an individual award, but it always comes from somewhere that everybody else kind of too. So that's an
yeah.
Yep.
It might be because the voting and all that's in December, isn't it?
Euro year is
It's the calendar
are the
year.
Euros taken in consideration for like this like
As far as I know.
footballing calendar, or is it just
I would
like,
Because we had a winter.
Oh, I don't think so, but I don't know.
or does it go into next year's?
No, I know that it's announced in December every year, so like or January maybe.
Oh, it's count. I thought it was the season. I thought it was like
Dude.
footballing year. Look at us. Look at
Dude,
us knowing
this-
ball knowledge.
Until 2021, the
Mhm.
Ballon d'Or was awarded based on
Yeah.
player performance during the calendar year.
And now
So-
2020.
I think it's the full season.
Okay, so it would be included if that's
Yeah.
the case, because I think that you also have like England and France as like two of the top teams. What'll be really fascinating is if, like, let's say hypothetically PSG wins the Champions League and then England wins the Euros. It'll be super fascinating to see how that all shakes out, because then you have Mbappe with a
Cool.
Ligue 1 title
Yeah,
and
that's a whole
Champions
nother
League,
wrinkle.
and then you have
Damn.
Bellingham with what probably will be the La Liga title and the Euros. It'd be crazy.
Dude,
I got it.
We've got
It's
so much
August
good football
1st
on. Copa
to
America,
July
MLS.
31st.
Euro.
Yeah, so the Euros.
That's why we love the sport. It's why we love the sport. It's
Yeah.
why we love the sport. It's why my
Yeah, a lot of good
girlfriend
reasons to
gets
tune into
annoyed
your
sometimes
television
because
throughout the
how
summer.
often I'm watching it. So she has every right. Yeah, I think that brings us to the end. Yeah, as always,
What more can a
follow
guy
us
ask
on the
for, really,
socials,
you know?
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We've got thousands and thousands of views on TikToks within the last week. Not to float our own boat, but kind of we are.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of Twitter engagement as well. Yeah, it's always happening over there. Follow us on YouTube. Give us a like, subscribe. I think that's what the YouTubers say these days. But yeah, as always, Hoove here checking out. Good one,
Appreciate
boys.
the listeners, man. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.